Lisa Morgan woke up in her small room on the alien ship. The walls were smooth and white, like everything else the Valerians built. She had been living here for 3 months now, but it still felt strange. The bed was too long for her human body, and the lights were too bright for her eyes. She got up and looked at herself in the mirror. Her brown hair was messy from sleep. Her uniform was blue with small badges that showed she was a diplomatic observer. Lisa did not really understand why humans needed observers on alien ships. The coalition leaders said it was important, but no one told her why. Lisa walked to the small kitchen area in her room. The food machine made her breakfast. It was supposed to taste like eggs and toast, but it never tasted quite right. She ate it anyway, while looking out the window at the stars. They were moving fast through space, but the stars looked still and peaceful. A soft sound came from her door. "Come in," Lisa said. The door opened and Maya Cross stepped inside. Maya was the only other human on the ship. She worked in communications and had been here for 6 months. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail. "Good morning, Lisa," Maya said. "Commander Zelthara wants to see you on the bridge in 1 hour." "Did she say why?" Lisa asked. Maya shook her head. "She never says why. You know how the elves are. They think everything is a secret." Lisa nodded. She had learned that the Valerians, who looked like tall elves from old Earth stories, did not like to explain things. They were polite, but distant. Commander Zelthara was especially hard to understand. After Maya left, Lisa put on her clean uniform and walked through the ship halls. The stellar wind was big, with long corridors that curved in gentle arcs. Other crew members passed her, but they did not talk to her. Some nodded politely. Others just looked away. Lisa saw Dr. Kira Vell coming toward her. The Zoranthian scientist was tall and thin, with blue skin that looked like crystal. She had 4 arms and large black eyes. Lisa always thought she looked beautiful in a strange way. "Good morning, Observer Morgan," Dr. Vell said in her musical voice. "Good morning, Doctor," Lisa replied. "How are your experiments going?" "Very. Well, thank you for asking." Dr. Vell tilted her head. "You are the only crew member who asks about my work." "I find science interesting," Lisa said. Dr. Vell smiled. Her teeth were white and sharp. "Most beings think science is boring. But humans seem curious about everything." They walked together for a while. Dr. Vell talked about her studies of space dust and gas clouds. Lisa listened and asked questions. She liked talking to Dr. Vell because the scientist treated her like a real person, not just a strange human guest. When they reached the bridge, Lisa thanked Dr. Vell and went inside. The bridge was large and round, with screens all around the walls. In the center sat Commander Zelthara in her command chair. The commander was beautiful, like all Valerians. She had long silver hair and pointed ears. Her skin was pale and perfect. Her eyes were green like deep forest pools. She wore a dark uniform with silver trim. When she looked at Lisa, her face showed nothing. "Observer Morgan," Commander Zelthara said. "Please take your station." Lisa went to her small desk at the side of the bridge. It had a computer screen and a chair that was too big for her. This was where she was supposed to observe what happened on the ship. She still did not understand what she was supposed to observe or why it mattered. Lieutenant Commander Veltar stood near the main screen. He was also Valerian, with dark hair and stern eyes. He looked at Lisa for a moment, then turned back to his work. Lisa had never heard him say more than a few words to any human. "Report," Commander Zelthara said. "We are 2 hours from the Helix. Nebula Patrol Zone," Veltar said. "All systems are working normally." "Good. Continue on course." Lisa watched the crew work. They moved with quiet efficiency, like dancers who had practiced together for years. The Valerians barely spoke to each other, but they seemed to understand what each other was thinking. A young Valerian officer named Thel Ein worked at the communications station. He was newer to the crew and sometimes made small mistakes. When he did, Commander Zelthara would look at him with cold eyes until he fixed the problem. Lisa wondered why Commander Zelthara had asked her to come to the bridge early. Usually, she only came during important events or meetings. Today seemed like a normal patrol day. She opened her observation log on her computer and began typing her daily report. Day 94 aboard Stellar Wind. Crew continues normal operations. No unusual events to report. She stopped typing and looked around the bridge again. Everyone was doing their jobs. But something felt different today. Dr. Vell came onto the bridge carrying a data pad. She walked over to Commander Zelthara and spoke quietly. Lisa could not hear what they said, but she saw the commander's face change slightly. It was just a small change, but Lisa had learned to watch for tiny signs with the Valerians. Officer Thelaine, Commander Zelthara said, scan the long-range sensors. The young officer's fingers moved quickly over his controls. After a few moments, he looked up with wide eyes. Commander, I am reading multiple ship signatures at the edge of sensor range. They are moving fast toward the civilian shipping lanes. Commander, Zelthara stood up from her chair. How many ships? At least 20, Commander, maybe more. The signatures are unusual. Lisa felt the mood on the bridge change. The crew members looked at each other with worried faces. She had never seen them react this way before. Can you identify the ship types? Commander Zelthara asked. Thelaine worked at his controls for another minute. When he looked up, his face was pale. Commander, he said slowly, I believe they are Kethmori raiders. The bridge became very quiet. Lisa had heard of the Kethmori but had never seen them. They were supposed to be brutal fighters who never took prisoners. The coalition forces tried to avoid them when possible. Commander Zelthara turned to look at Lisa for a long moment. Her green eyes seemed to be studying Lisa's face carefully. Lisa did not understand why. Observer Morgan, the Yar. Commander said, you may find today more interesting than usual. The alarm started ringing through the ship. Red lights flashed on and off. Lisa had heard this alarm during practice drills, but this time it felt different. This time it was real. All crew to battle stations, Commander Zelthara announced over the ship's speakers. This is not a drill. Lisa watched the bridge crew move faster than she had ever seen them. Their calm, quiet way of working changed into something urgent and focused. Veltar called out orders to different parts of the ship. Thelaine's hands flew over his controls as he tracked the approaching ships. Commander, Thelaine said, I count 43 Kethmori ships. They are in attack formation. Lisa felt her stomach drop. 43 ships was a huge number. The Stellar Wind was just one ship, even if it was a good one. Send a message to Coalition Command, Commander Zelthara ordered. Tell them we need help immediately. Dr. Vell came back onto the bridge. She looked worried, which was unusual for her. Commander, I have completed my scans of the area. There is a civilian transport ship near the Kethmori fleet. It appears to be damaged. A trap, Veltar said quietly. Commander Zelthara nodded. They used the civilian ship as bait. They wanted us to come and help so they could attack us. Lisa looked at the main screen. It showed a map of space around them. Red dots marked the Kethmori ships. They were moving in a perfect pattern, like a pack of hunting animals. A single blue dot showed where the civilian ship was floating, helpless. What about the people on that ship? Lisa asked. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at her. Commander Zelthara raised one eyebrow. Observer. Morgan, this is a military situation, the commander said. We must think about our own safety first. But there might be families on that ship, Lisa said. Children. If we try to save them, we will probably die too, Veltar said. Then no one will be saved. Lisa looked at the screen again. The blue dot seemed so small and alone, surrounded by all those red dots. She thought about the people inside that ship, waiting and hoping for rescue. Commander, Thelaine said, I am receiving a message from Admiral Teclon's fleet. They are 1 hour away from our position. Admiral Teclon was a Draknari, one of the big lizard-like creatures that made good military leaders. His fleet was strong, but 1 hour was a long time in a space battle. Are there any other coalition ships in the area? Commander Zelthara asked. Captain Nina Blake's ship Aurora's Edge is also coming, but she is even further away, Thelaine reported. She will not arrive for at least 90 minutes. Lisa knew about Captain Blake. She was one of the few human ship commanders in the coalition fleet. Her ship was smaller than the Stellar Wind, but had a reputation for being fast and clever in fights. Commander Zelthara stood quietly for a moment, thinking. Lisa could see her weighing different choices in her mind. Save the civilian ship and probably die, or run away and let innocent people be killed. Dr. Vell, the commander said, what do we know about Kethmori battle tactics? They attack in waves, Dr. Vell answered. They like to get close and use their powerful weapons. They do not usually retreat even when they are losing. How close do they need to be to use those weapons effectively? About 50,000 kilometers, Commander. Lisa watched Commander Zelthara calculate distances and times in her head. The Valerian commander was very good at math and strategy. If we keep our distance and move in a pattern, we might be able to delay them until help arrives, Commander Zelthara said. We cannot win against 43 ships, but we might be able to stay alive. What about the civilian ship? Lisa asked. Again, we cannot save them and save ourselves, Veltar said firmly. We must choose. Lisa felt angry. She knew the Valerians were being practical, but it seemed wrong to leave people to die. On Earth, humans always tried to save others, even when it was dangerous. Commander, she said, could I try talking to them? Everyone stared at her. Thelaine's mouth opened in surprise. Even Dr. Vell looked shocked. Talk to the Kethmori? Commander Zelthara asked. Observer Morgan, they do not negotiate. They only fight. But maybe if they knew that there were humans here, they might listen, Lisa said. Sometimes talking can solve problems that fighting cannot. Commander Zelthara looked at her for a long time. Lisa could not tell what the commander was thinking. Finally, she nodded slowly. You may try, she said, but do not expect success. The Kethmori have never been interested in talking. Lisa felt nervous, but also determined. She had trained as a diplomat before becoming an observer. Maybe her training could help save lives today. Thelaine, open a communication channel to the Kethmori fleet, Commander Zelthara ordered. Channel open, Commander. Lisa took a deep breath. She had never talked to enemies before, but she tried to remember her diplomatic training. Be calm, be respectful, and try to find common ground. This is Lisa Morgan, diplomatic observer aboard the Coalition vessel Stellar Wind, she began. I am requesting communication with the commander of the Kethmori fleet. There was silence for several long seconds. Then a rough, growling voice came through the speakers. This is War Leader Gorthmak. Why do the Coalition cowards want to talk instead of fight? Lisa's heart was beating fast, but she kept her voice steady. War Leader, we detect a damaged civilian vessel in your area. We are concerned for the safety of the non-combatants aboard that ship. The weak ship is our prize, Gorthmak growled. Soon your ship will be our prize too. War Leader, I am speaking to you as a representative of humanity, Lisa said. Perhaps we can find a solution that benefits everyone. There was another pause. This one lasted longer. When Gorthmak spoke again, his voice sounded different. Less angry, more uncertain. You said, humanity? Yes, War Leader. I am human. Lisa waited. She could hear strange sounds coming through the communication channel. It sounded like multiple voices talking at once in the background. Commander Zelthara was watching her with intense green eyes. Veltar looked confused. Dr. Vell was studying her instruments with great interest. Human, Gorthmak said slowly. You will show yourself. Lisa looked at Commander Zelthara, who nodded. Put the visual communication on the main screen, the commander told Thelaine. The main screen flickered and showed Lisa's face. At the same time, a new image appeared on a smaller screen. It showed War Leader Gorthmak, a huge creature with dark fur and long claws. His eyes were red and fierce. But when he saw Lisa's face, something strange happened. The fierce look in his eyes changed to something else, something that looked almost like fear. War Leader Gorthmak stared at Lisa through the screen. His red eyes were wide with what looked like terror. His mouth opened and closed several times, but no words came out. Lisa waited patiently. She had learned in diplomatic training that sometimes silence was more powerful than words. She kept her face calm and neutral, even though her heart was beating very fast. Behind Gorthmak, Lisa could see other Kethmori warriors. They were all looking at the screen with the same expression of shock and fear. Some of them were backing away from the view screen. Others were pointing at Lisa and making strange noises. Deathbringer, Gorthmak whispered. His voice was so quiet that Lisa almost could not hear him. I'm sorry, War Leader, Lisa said politely. I did not understand what you said. Commander Zelthara leaned forward in her chair. She was watching the screen with great interest. Veltar stood completely still, like a statue. Even Dr. Vel had stopped looking at her instruments and was staring at the Kethmori commander. You are human, Gorthmak said. His voice was shaking. Yes, I am human, Lisa confirmed. My name is Lisa Morgan. I am a diplomatic observer with the Coalition. Suddenly, alarms began ringing on the Kethmori ship. Lisa could hear them through the communication channel. Multiple voices were shouting in the Kethmori language. It sounded like chaos. War leader, one of his warriors said in broken Coalition language, the ancient warnings, the stories of the elders. Gorthmak held up one clawed hand to silence his crew. But his hand was shaking. Lisa had never seen a warrior look so frightened. Observer Morgan, he said slowly, are there others of your kind nearby? Lisa was confused by the question. There is one other human on this ship, she said, and Captain Nina Blake is commanding a human vessel that will arrive in about an hour. The effect of her words was immediate and dramatic. Gorthmak let out, a sound that was part growl and part whimper. Behind him, several Kethmori warriors actually fell to their knees. 3 humans, Gorthmak said. The Void Walkers have returned. Lisa had no idea what he was talking about. She looked at Commander Zelthara, hoping for help, but the Valyrian commander looked just as confused as she felt. War leader, Lisa said carefully. I think there may be some misunderstanding. I am just a diplomatic observer. I am not a warrior. All humans are warriors, Gorthmak said. All humans are deathbringers. The old stories tell us this. Thel Ein suddenly spoke up from his station. Commander, I am reading massive energy signatures from the Kethmori fleet, but they are not charging weapons. They are powering down? Commander Zelthara turned to look at him. Powering down? Yes, Commander. All weapon systems on all 43 ships are going offline. Lisa looked back at the screen. Gorthmak was talking rapidly to his crew in their own language. She could not understand the words, but his tone sounded urgent and frightened. War leader, she said, is everything all right? Gorthmak turned back to face the screen. When he looked at Lisa, she saw something she had never expected to see in a Kethmori warrior's eyes. Respect. Human Lisa Morgan, he said formally. I, War Leader Gorthmak of the 7th Battle Fleet, request permission to withdraw from this system. The bridge of the stellar wind went completely silent. Lisa blinked in surprise. She had asked for negotiation, but she had never expected the Kethmori to ask permission to leave. You want to withdraw? She asked. We did not know humans were in this system, Gorthmak said. If we had known, we would never have come here. Commander Zelthara stood up from her chair and walked over to Lisa's station. She spoke quietly, so the Kethmori could not hear. Observer Morgan, this is unprecedented. The Kethmori never retreat. They fight until they win or die. I don't understand it either, Lisa whispered back. Dr. Vel approached them. Commander, I recommend we accept their withdrawal. Even if we do not understand why they want to leave, it solves our immediate problem. Lisa looked at the screen again. More Kethmori warriors had gathered behind their leader. All of them were looking at her with the same expression of fear and awe. Some were making gestures that looked almost religious. War leader Gorthmak, Lisa said. What about the civilian transport ship? The people on that ship need medical help. Gorthmak nodded quickly. We will escort them to the nearest Coalition medical station. We will protect them on their journey. This we promise to the human. That is very generous, Lisa said. Thank you. We ask only that you do not follow us, Gorthmak said. We will leave this system and not return while humans are present. Lisa was completely confused, but she tried to maintain her diplomatic composure. That arrangement is acceptable to me, she said. Gorthmak bowed his head. It was a gesture of respect that Lisa had never seen a Kethmori make before. We are honored to have spoken with a human and lived, he said. We will tell the elders that the Deathbringers are merciful. Thel Ein, Commander Zelthara said. Are they really withdrawing? The young officer checked his instruments. Yes, Commander. All Kethmori ships are changing course. They are moving away from us at maximum speed. Lisa watched the tactical display as 43 red dots turned around and began moving away. The blue dot representing the civilian transport was moving with them, safely protected in the middle of the formation. "War leader," Lisa said. "May I ask you a question?" Gorthmak nodded. "Why do you call humans death-bringers?" The Kethmori leader looked surprised by the question. "You do not know your own history?" "I know some of it," Lisa said carefully. "But perhaps you know stories that we have forgotten." Gorthmak was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was filled with ancient fear. The elders remember when humans first came to the galaxy. They remember the war that followed. They remember what humans did to those who opposed them. He paused. Humans do not just defeat their enemies. They erase them completely. "I don't understand," Lisa said. 12,000 years ago, the void creatures came from beyond the galaxy. They consumed entire worlds. Every species ran or hid. Only humans fought back. And humans did not stop fighting until every single void creature was dead. Gorthmak's eyes grew distant. The elders say that humans hunted them across 10 galaxies. They say humans created weapons that could destroy stars. They say humans never stopped, never gave up, never showed mercy to the void creatures. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. She had never heard this story before. When the war ended, Gorthmak continued, humans vanished. The elders thought they were gone forever. But the stories remained. Stories about the species that fights, until only they remain. The communication ended. The Kethmori fleet was already far away, moving toward the edge of the system. The civilian transport was safe. Lisa sat back in her chair, trying to process what had just happened. She had expected a battle. Instead, she had discovered that humans had a reputation in the galaxy that she had never known about. Commander Zelthera was looking at her with new eyes. So was everyone else on the bridge. "Observer Morgan," the commander said quietly, "perhaps we need to discuss what observation really means." 3 weeks after the encounter with the Kethmori, Lisa's life on the stellar wind had changed completely. The crew members who had once ignored her now spoke to her with careful respect. Even Veltar, who had barely acknowledged her existence before, now nodded politely when they passed in the corridors. Lisa was in her quarters, writing a report about recent diplomatic contacts when her door chimed. "Come in," she called. Commander Zelthara entered, looking more serious than usual. She carried a datapad and a sealed message tube. "Observer Morgan," she said, "I have received new orders from Coalition Command. They concern you." Lisa saved her work and turned to face the commander. "What kind of orders?" "You are being reassigned," Commander Zelthera said. "Several other Coalition ships have requested human observers after word spread about our encounter with the Kethmori." "I see," Lisa said. She felt a strange mix of sadness and excitement. She had grown to like the stellar wind and its crew, but she was also curious about serving on other ships. "There is more," Commander Zelthara continued. "You will not be going alone. The Coalition is expanding the Human Observer Program. They are training new observers and placing them throughout the fleet." "How many new observers?" 50 to start. Eventually they want a human on every major Coalition vessel." Lisa was surprised. "That's a lot of humans." "The galaxy is a dangerous place," Commander Zelthera said. "After what happened with the Kethmori, the Coalition leadership realizes that human presence can prevent conflicts before they start." The commander handed Lisa the sealed message tube. "This contains your new assignment details and some additional information that you will find interesting." Lisa opened the tube and pulled out several documents. The first was her new assignment order. She was being sent to serve on the Draknari flagship commanded by Admiral Theclon. The second document made her stop reading and look up in surprise. "Commander, this says that Captain Nina Blake is coming to speak with me." "Yes," Commander Zelthera said. "Captain Blake has been asked to help train the new human observers. She has more experience working with alien crews than most humans." "When will she arrive?" "In 2 hours." Lisa spent the next 2 hours preparing for the meeting. She gathered all her reports and observations from her time on the stellar wind. She also reviewed everything she had learned about humanity's hidden history. When Captain Blake arrived, Lisa was surprised by how young she looked. The human captain was probably only in her early 30s, with short red hair and bright green eyes. She wore a simple coalition uniform with captain's bars. "Observer Morgan," Captain Blake said, shaking Lisa's hand. "I've heard a lot about your recent adventures. Captain Blake, it's an honor to meet you. Please call me Nina. We're going to be working together." They sat down in Lisa's quarters, and Nina pulled out her own datapad. "Lisa, I want to ask you about your experience with the Keth Mori. How did it feel when they reacted to your presence?" Lisa thought carefully about her answer. "It was frightening and confusing. I had no idea why they were so afraid of me." "That's normal," Nina said. "Most human observers don't know the full history when they start. I didn't know either, until a few years ago." "How long have you known about humanity's past?" "About 3 years. I was commanding a small patrol ship when we encountered a Zephyrian raiding fleet. When they saw me on the screen, their entire fleet surrendered immediately." Nina smiled. "It was a lot like what happened to you." "How did you handle it?" "Poorly at first," Nina admitted. "I was angry that no one had told me the truth. I felt like I had been lied to my whole life." "How do you feel about it now?" Nina was quiet for a moment. "I think we have a responsibility. Our ancestors did terrible things to save the galaxy. Now we have to use the memory of those terrible things to keep the peace." Lisa nodded. "General Hayes said something similar." "Patricia is a good friend of mine," Nina said. "She's the one who convinced me to help train new observers." "What will the training involve?" "Mostly education," Nina explained. "New observers need to understand galactic history, alien psychology, and diplomatic protocols. But most importantly, they need to understand what their presence means to other species." Nina opened her datapad and showed Lisa a star map. "Lisa, there are over 200 intelligent species in this galaxy. Most of them have some kind of cultural memory about humans, even if they don't understand what those memories mean." "What kind of memories? Stories about the Star Killers, or the Void Hunters, or the Silent Fleet? Different species remember different parts of the story, but they all remember that humans are dangerous." Lisa studied the star map. "Are all species afraid of humans?" "Not afraid, exactly," Nina said. "Most species respect human military capability. Some species, like the Draknari, actually admire humans for their willingness to fight impossible battles. What about species that weren't around during the Void War?" "Even younger species have heard the stories," Nina explained. "The older species made sure to pass down warnings about humans to any new civilizations they encountered." Nina closed her datapad and looked directly at Lisa. "The question is, are you ready to accept this responsibility?" "What do you mean?" "Being a human observer means carrying the weight of our species' reputation everywhere you go. Some aliens will fear you. Others will test you to see if the stories are true. A few might even try to challenge you." Lisa thought about this. "What happens if someone challenges me and discovers that I'm not actually a warrior?" "That's the beauty of it," Nina said with a slight smile. "They can never be completely sure. Every human looks like every other human to most alien species. They don't know if you're a peaceful diplomat or a trained killer." "But I really am just a peaceful diplomat, are you?" Nina asked. "Lisa, you prevented a battle between 43 enemy ships and 1 coalition vessel. You saved the lives of everyone on that civilian transport. You ended a conflict without firing a single shot." She paused. "That sounds like a pretty effective warrior to me." Lisa had never thought about it that way. The old humans who fought. "The Void War weren't just good at destroying things," Nina continued. "They were good at ending conflicts. Sometimes they did it with terrible weapons. Sometimes they did it just by showing up." "You're saying that modern humans are carrying on that tradition?" "I'm saying that we have a choice," Nina said. "We can use our reputation to prevent wars, or we can hide from our responsibility and let other species fight and die in conflicts that we could have stopped." Lisa looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, other human observers were serving on alien ships, carrying the same burden she was learning to accept. "Nina, what happened to the humans who never came back from the outer galaxies?" "No one knows for sure," Nina said. "But sometimes coalition deep space scanners pick up signals from regions where no known species live. Signals that use old human communication protocols. Do you think they're still out there? I think some of them are still watching, Nina said, still making sure the galaxy stays safe. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Finally, Nina stood up. Lisa, your transport to Admiral Thecalon's ship leaves tomorrow morning. Are you ready for your new assignment? Lisa stood up too. I think so, but I'm going to miss the stellar wind. That's normal. But you'll find that each assignment teaches you something new about being human in a galaxy that remembers what we're capable of. The next morning, Lisa packed her belongings and prepared to leave the stellar wind. Commander Zelthara came to see her off. Observer Morgan, the commander said, it has been an honor having you serve on my ship. Thank you, Commander. I've learned a lot here. As have we all, Commander Zelthara said. You have shown us that humans are not just the warriors of ancient legend. You are also diplomats, teachers, and friends. Lisa smiled. I hope we can work together again someday. I am certain we will, Commander Zelthara said. The galaxy is large, but the Coalition fleet is like a family. We will meet again. As Lisa's transport ship pulled away from the stellar wind, she looked back at the elegant Valerian vessel. She thought about her time there, about the crew members who had become her friends, and about the responsibility she now carried. She was no longer just Lisa Morgan, diplomatic observer. She was Lisa Morgan, representative of humanity's hidden strength, keeper of an ancient reputation, and guardian of a peace that depended on the galaxy remembering what humans could do when pushed too far. In the distance, she could see Admiral Thecalon's massive flagship waiting for her. Soon she would begin a new assignment, meet new alien crew members, and continue learning what it meant to be human in a galaxy that feared and respected her species in equal measure. The stars looked the same as always, but Lisa now understood that she was part of something much larger than herself. She was part of humanity's ongoing mission to keep the galaxy safe, not through the terrible weapons of the past, but through the simple power of being present, being human, and reminding everyone that some wars should never be fought. As her transport approached the Draknari flagship, Lisa prepared herself for whatever challenges lay ahead. She was ready to be an observer, a diplomat, and if necessary, a reminder of what humans were capable of when the galaxy needed them most. 2 hours later, Lisa sat in the conference room with Commander Zelthara, Dr. Vell, and several other senior officers. The room was quiet, but Lisa could feel the tension in the air. Everyone kept looking at her like she was a puzzle they could not solve. Observer Morgan, Commander Zelthara began. We need to understand what happened today. I wish I could explain it, Lisa said honestly. I have never heard the stories that war leader Gorthmak told us. Dr. Vell leaned forward. The Kethmori are known for their excellent memory. They pass down stories through many generations without changing them. If they remember something from 12,000 years ago, it is probably true. But 12,000 years is a very long time, Lisa said. If humans were in space that long ago, why don't we remember? Perhaps your people chose to forget, Veltar suggested. Sometimes civilizations hide their dark history from themselves. Before Lisa could respond, the door opened and Maya Cross entered. The other human looked worried and excited at the same time. Commander, Maya said, I just received a priority message from Coalition Command. They want to speak with Lisa immediately. What kind of message? Commander Zelthara asked. It's from General Patricia Hayes. She says it's about historical clarification. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. General Hayes was one of the highest-ranking humans in the Coalition military. If she wanted to talk about history, it probably meant the stories were true. Put the call through to this room, Commander Zelthara ordered. The main screen activated, showing a middle-aged human woman in a military uniform. General Hayes had gray hair and serious blue eyes. Her expression was grim. Observer Morgan, General Hayes said, I understand you had an interesting encounter with the Kethmori today? Yes, General, Lisa replied. They seem to know things about humans that I did not know myself. That's because those things are classified at the highest levels, General Hayes said. But after today's events, it's clear that we need to share some information with you. Lisa looked around the room. The alien officers were listening carefully to every word. General, she said, should we discuss this privately? No, General Hayes said. Commander Zelthara and her senior staff have security clearance for this information. In fact, they knew more about human history than you did. Lisa turned to stare at Commander Zelthara. You knew? The Valerian commander looked uncomfortable. We knew pieces of the story, not all of it. General Hayes continued. Observer Morgan, the reason you and other humans are placed on coalition ships is not just for diplomatic purposes. You are there as a deterrent. A deterrent? The galaxy remembers what humans can do when threatened. Most species prefer to avoid conflict with us, even if they don't understand why. Dr. Vell spoke up. General Hayes, could you tell us more about this ancient war? Our scientific records from that time period are incomplete. General Hayes was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with old sadness. 12,000 years ago, humanity had already achieved interstellar travel. We had colonies on dozens of worlds. We were exploring the galaxy and meeting other species. Then the void creatures came. They appeared at the edge of the galaxy and began consuming everything in their path. Entire star systems disappeared. Billions of beings died. Lisa listened with growing horror. Most species tried to hide or run away, General Hayes continued. But humans decided to fight back. We developed new weapons and tactics specifically designed to hunt the void creatures. What kind of weapons? Dr. Vell asked. Weapons that we hoped never to use again, General Hayes said firmly. Weapons that could destroy planets, collapse stars, and erase entire regions of space. The room was completely silent. The war lasted for 300 years, General Hayes said. Human fleets chased the void creatures across multiple galaxies. We created weapons so terrible that other species begged us to stop using them. But we did not stop, she continued. We could not stop. The void creatures had to be completely destroyed, or they would return and consume everything. So humans became the thing that other species feared almost as much as the void creatures themselves. Lisa felt sick. We became monsters. We became what was necessary, General Hayes corrected. When the war ended, every single void creature was dead. The galaxy was safe. What happened to the humans after the war? Commander Zelthara asked. Most of them never came home, General Hayes said. Some stayed in the outer galaxies to make sure the void creatures were really gone. Others just disappeared. The humans who did return to Earth were exhausted and traumatized. They decided to hide our military history and start over. But why hide it? Lisa asked. Because the weapons and tactics we used were too dangerous to remember, General Hayes explained. We were afraid that future generations might use them for the wrong reasons. Dr. Vell was taking notes on her datapad. General, are there still humans in the outer galaxies? We don't know, General Hayes admitted. Sometimes our deep space scanners detect artificial signals from regions where no known civilizations exist. Sometimes we find ancient human installations that are still operational, but we have no contact with whoever built them. Lisa tried to process all this information. So when I told War Leader Gorthmak that I was human, he remembered stories about a species of warriors who could erase entire civilizations from existence. Exactly, General Hayes said. The Kethmori, like many other species, have cultural memories of the Void War. They remember humans as the ultimate predators. But I'm not a warrior, Lisa protested. I'm just a diplomat. To them, all humans are potential warriors, Commander Zelthara said quietly. They do not know which humans remember the old ways and which do not. General Hayes nodded. That's why the Observer program works so well. Just the presence of a human on a coalition ship makes other species think twice about starting conflicts. Are there more humans who know this history? Lisa asked. A few, General Hayes said. Mostly high-ranking military officers and government officials. We also have a small group of researchers who study the old archives. What kind of archives? Technical manuals, weapon blueprints, tactical databases. Most of it is so advanced that our current scientists can barely understand it. Dr. Vell looked up from her notes. General, has humanity ever considered sharing this technology with the Coalition? General Hayes shook her head firmly. Never. The weapons we created during the Void War are too dangerous for anyone to possess. We sealed away that knowledge. For good reasons. But what if the Void creatures return? Veltar asked. If they return, General Hayes said grimly, then humanity will remember how to fight them. But until that day comes, we prefer to be known as peaceful explorers and diplomats. Lisa sat back in her chair, overwhelmed by everything she had learned. She thought about all the times alien crew members had looked at her strangely. All the times negotiations had gone better than expected when she was present. "General," she said, "what should I do with this information?" "Continue your work as an observer," General Hayes replied. "But now you understand why your presence is so important. You represent 12,000 years of human military capability, even if you have never fired a weapon in your life. The galaxy is safer when species remember what humans are capable of," she continued. "Your face on that screen today prevented a battle that could have cost thousands of lives." After the call ended, the conference room remained quiet for several minutes. Finally, Commander Zelthara spoke. "Observer Morgan, I owe you an apology. I did not understand the true value of having a human on my ship." "You have nothing to apologize for," Lisa said. "I didn't understand it either." Dr. Vell closed her data pad. "This explains many things about human behavior that I found puzzling." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "Humans are the only species that immediately tries to understand and befriend other species, but you are also the only species that other civilizations instinctively fear. Now I understand why." Lisa looked around the room at the faces of the alien officers. They were all looking at her with a mixture of respect, curiosity, and yes, a little bit of fear. She realized that her life as a simple observer was over. From now on, she would carry the weight of humanity's hidden history wherever she went.